The Roman origins of the celebration of Halloween are connected to two festivals that took place in ancient Rome, Feralia and the Feast of Pomona, both of which influenced the traditions that later merged with the Celtic Samhain to create what we know today as Halloween. Feralia, celebrated on February 21st, it was part of the funeral festivities of Feralia, a Roman festival honoring the dead. During Feralia, Romans would offer food, wine, and wreaths at the graves of their ancestors, believing that the spirits needed to be appeased. This cult of the dead and practices to honor the deceased resonated in the idea of Halloween, where the boundaries between the living and the dead become more blurred. Pomona Festival. This festival, held in honor of Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit trees and harvests, took place in late October. The Romans offered fruit, especially apples, in her honor. Some of the activities associated with Halloween, such as the game of apple bobbing, getting apples out of water with your mouth, are thought to have come from this Roman celebration. As the Roman Empire began to expand and absorb Celtic cultures, Roman festivals merged with Samhain, a Celtic celebration marking the end of summer and the beginning of winter, a time when the spirits of the dead could return to earth. Over time, this mix of Roman and Celtic traditions evolved, and as Christianity spread, the Feast of All Saints was established on November 1st, followed by All Souls on November 2nd. Thus, the eve of October 31st, known today as Halloween, became a mix of pagan, Roman, and Christian customs, while maintaining its focus on the dead and the supernatural. Bottom line, although Halloween has its roots in Celtic festivals such as Samhain, the Roman celebrations of Feralia and the Feast of Pomona contributed significantly to the traditions of this modern holiday, particularly in relation to the veneration of the dead and harvest rituals. The origins of Halloween are the result of a fusion of Celtic, Roman, and Christian traditions that evolved over the centuries. Although the Celtic holiday of Samhain is widely acknowledged as the primary influence on Halloween, Roman celebrations, particularly the Feralia and the Feast of Pomona, also played a significant role in its formation. 1. Feralia, the cult of the dead in Rome. Feralia was a Roman holiday celebrated on February 21st as part of Feralia, a festival dedicated to honoring dead ancestors. During the 9-day Feralia, Roman families would perform rituals at the tombs of their ancestors. They would offer wine, food, and wreaths of flowers to the dead to ensure that their spirits were at peace. The last day of this holiday was known as Feralia, where the most important offerings were made, and the aim was to appease the disturbed spirits who, if they did not receive these offerings, could cause misfortune. This aspect of Feralia has similarities with the idea that, during Halloween, the spirits of the dead return to the world of the living, and humans need to appease them either with offerings, rituals, or costumes that fool the spirits. The relationship with the dead and the cult of the deceased, so important in the Roman festival, was later integrated into the Christian festivals of All Saints and All Souls, and remains to this day in the modern notion of Halloween. 2. The Pomona Festival, the harvest and the fruits of autumn. Another Roman holiday that influenced Halloween was the Feast of Pomona, which was dedicated to Pomona, the goddess of fruit trees, especially apple trees, and harvests. Pomona was not a goddess directly associated with death, but her holiday, held in late October, was linked to agricultural cycles, the end of the harvest season, and preparation for winter. This connection to autumn fruits, particularly apples, was reflected in Halloween customs, such as the popular game of apple bobbing, which involves trying to get floating apples out of a bowl of water using only your mouth. The apple, associated with Pomona, symbolized fertility and abundance. Some legends say that if you cut an apple in half, you can see a 5-pointed star inside, a symbol of magic and protection. These beliefs in the magic of nature and fruits also carried over into the tradition of Halloween, where elements of harvest and magic are intertwined. 3. The fusion of Roman and Celtic traditions. When the Romans began to conquer Celtic territories from the 1st century BC onwards, their customs and festivals began to merge with local traditions. Among these was Samhain, the Celtic celebration of the end of summer marking the beginning of winter and, according to Celtic beliefs, the time when the veil between the world of the living and the dead was thinnest. Spirits could return to the world of the living, and the souls of the dead were believed to roam the earth. The Romans, with their already established tradition of cult of the dead through Feralia, integrated aspects of Samhain into their own practices. This created a fusion of beliefs about spirits and veneration of the dead. In turn, the harvest festival in honor of Pomona brought its own symbolic elements to this cultural mix. Over time, these pagan Roman and Celtic customs were incorporated into Christianity when the Roman Empire adopted the new faith. 4. The Christianization of Halloween, from Samhain to All Saints' Day. As Christianity spread across Europe, church authorities sought to replace pagan festivals with Christian celebrations. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III moved All Saints' Day to November 1st, probably to Christianize the Celtic holiday of Samhain. Later, All Souls' Day was added on November 2nd, continuing the tradition of remembering and honoring the dead. The eve of October 31st, known as All Hallows' Eve or Halloween, retained many of the pagan customs that had already become intertwined with Roman and Celtic traditions. 5. Modern influences, the Roman legacy in Halloween. Today, the Halloween festivities we know today, though they have evolved and changed, still retain the original elements of Roman traditions. The idea of the dead returning, the need to honor or deceive them, and the agricultural practices of the harvest are echoes of those ancient festivities. In particular, the notion of spirits wandering among the living comes from the mixture of Roman beliefs in Feralia and Celtic beliefs in Samhain. In addition, apple-related activities, such as games and decorations, are clearly reminiscent of the Pomona festival. Conclusion. Although Halloween is primarily known for its Celtic roots, it is undeniable that ancient Roman festivals, such as the Feralia and the Feast of Pomona, also influenced its development. These celebrations brought key elements, such as the cult of the dead and nature magic, which merged with Celtic and later Christian beliefs, forming the hybrid holiday we know today. The persistence of these traditions over time shows how ancient cultures left their mark on our contemporary practices, creating a holiday that continues to celebrate the mystical, the dark, and the supernatural.